your fancy. You can have it any way you want. Your fancy. You can have anything you like. It's your fancy. You can have it any way you want. Your fancy. You can have anything you like.
This is Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. Gaze into your future. The future is yours to see. As a direct result of your past and present actions, you do have a large effect on your future. And to know it, you have to know the mind of God. Creator of the universe, God the Good, loves you, Scorpio. November is the month of the angelic frequencies of the birthstone of Citrine. Now, your gemstone is also, of course, Citrine. So November and Scorpio is Citrine. So what we need to do is find out how this gemstone resonates when you're going to double down on it. Now, just keep in mind that November, just November in general, it's Citrine, while Scorpio is October, November. So we're going to be doing videos in the future where we explain to you how the ancient months that were Egyptian and went into being Hebrew, and how those types of calendars are the reason for what seems to be like why does it overlap? Because in the Western modern calendar, it overlaps with each of the zodiac signs. So each of the signs has a gemstone, and each of the months have a gemstone. So what explains that? It's about the ancient ways that the calendars were structured. So we're going to be getting into that in our in very near future videos. Okay, so that'll help explain some of that. Now, also keep in mind that November is the month of the angelic frequencies of the gemstone of Citrine, and the light emanations of the astrology archangel Barchiel. And we're also going to utilize the zodiac sign gemstone of Citrine, having the light properties again of the zodiac angel Barchiel. So Barchiel is going to be used for November and going to be used for Scorpio. So that's where we get the energies from. Now stay right here as we give you the particular gemstones for your ruling planets of Mars and Pluto, Scorpio. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to learn how to contact me, please visit my website at www.readingsbyrosemary.com, where we provide you with all the information necessary on how you can obtain one of our spiritual consultations, psychic astrology, Rosicrucian Kabbalah, as well as classes and upcoming seminars. Now, regarding the Mars attributes, because again, Citrine is for Scorpio, Citrine is for November, Barchiel is for Scorpio, Barchiel is for November, and also the ruling planets of Scorpio are Mars and Pluto. So regarding Mars, we're going to look at that first. We have coral and red coral, and these are the precious stones used to align oneself with the energies of the planetary angel Samael for Mars, who is assigned to the planet Mars in Kabbalah. Planetary Archangel Chamael with a CH is also considered to be an expression of martial power, since these names and resulting various angelic frequencies corresponding to Mars apply fierce levels of courageous bestowal, willpower, accomplishment, and protection of those considered worthy. So be mindful of your own intentions and your own potency when utilizing these powerful gemstones in unison one with the other. The planetary angel Chamael is assigned to the planet Mars in Kabbalah, and Chamael also can be Kamael with a K or CH. And again, when you have a slightly varying spelling, although it's the same angel, it does change the energy slightly whenever you change the name by changing a letter here or there, because it changes the numerology or the gematria. Numerology is said to be, some people say, well, numerology is not the same as mathematics, but gematria is utilized in Christian as well as Hebrew codes that are in the Bible, in the New Testament, and also, of course, in the Torah, Tanakh, in the Old Testament. So these are even more important in the Old Testament and in the Hebrew now. And there's also the Aramaic. Now the Romans and the Greeks also had numbers associated with their letters. Now we, in our modern systems and modern languages, we also have letters associated with numbers. People don't always use it as much or give it as much meaning, but in reality it does have meaning and it does have a place. So numerology, gematria, same thing, but one is more secular. Numerology is more secular and gematria is more spiritual, religious in nature. So that's kind of how that works. Now again, for Gebura, the Sapphire of Gebura, which is associated with Mars and associated with Aries, of course, Gebura in Kabbalah, meaning strength and courage, that is where you have Kamael, or Kamael. Now regarding Mars, that's where you find Samael. Also sometimes Azazel on the other side of the coin, because there's a flip side to each of the angelic forces, and since these angels apply varying levels of again, it's a courageous sort of and willful correction and severity on the feminine or severe side of the tree that sometimes involve anger or even violence. So be very mindful when utilizing these powerful angelic forces, okay? So you want to understand that you want to try to not let these things become violent, but you want to instead, any of that passionate energy, you want to use it for good things like artistic expressions, musical expressions, sportsmanship, or exercise, or acting abilities. You want to try to use it in a way that's not going to actually harm yourself or other people. The Zohar states that he who said, see now that I am he, the cause high above all causes, the one that is called the cause of causes, is a cause among all the rest of the causes. So every single one of these causes shall not do anything unless it receives permission from the cause above it. So that, more specifically, it would be going with Elohim Gabor, which is the God name, the Hebrew God name, for Mars, for Aries, for that Sapphire of Gebura. Again, on the feminine side of the tree, which expresses through the masculine body, where the God expresses through the feminine body through Venus on the masculine side of the tree. Masculine side of the tree, freedom and emotion, through the goddess, through Venus, the goddess energy or current comes through the body of Mars or Aries, the man, the masculine body, and that is the feminine pillar of restriction, severity, war, logic, those kinds of more restrictive things for obvious reasons. Now the Zohar states, he who said, again, see now that even I am he. This is a quote from the Zohar regarding that you should require a semblance of form of yourself to be a cause rather than to be an effect. Okay, now also found in the Zohar, which Zohar is the main book in Kabbalah, the phrase, and there is no Elohim with me, Samael, and the serpent I kill and I make alive. I kill with my Shekinah whoever is guilty, and I make alive with her whoever is innocent. That's from the Zohar. Now, Mars is known, continuing with the transmission, Mars is known as the attribute of God the warrior, found in Exodus 15:3. In the Dewey Rheims Bible we read, the Lord is a man of war, almighty is his name. Scorpio, now regarding your second ruling planet, the planetary angel Azrael is assigned to the Kuiper Belt planet Pluto in Kabbalah. Gemstones associated with Pluto include a tourmalated quartz, obsidian, and meteorite. So you have those dark stones, like I have a ring here, tourmalated quartz, and some other rings. You can also use the darker portions of various types of bracelets, crystal balls, rosary beads, those kinds of things. You can use the darker, and you can also use meteorite, which can often be like in a dark green. Azrael is the angel of transformation and death. known as the angel who is the one whom God helps. Azrael occupies the third heaven called Paradise, adding and subtracting the names of people in his large book, which he keeps until the end, when he finally is to be the last to die. He is also known as Azrael with an I in the Zohar, where he accepts the prayers of those who reach the heavenly realm of the abode of God, also commanding many of the angels of God. Now, Pluto is known as the attribute of God the Rich Father, found in the book of the Gospel of Luke. Gospel of Luke, that's chapter 12, verses 24. In the Dewey Rheims Bible we read, "Consider the ravens, for they sow not, neither do they reap, neither have they storehouse nor barn, and God feedeth them. How much are you more valuable than they?" Your water guardian archangel Gabriel speaks to you from your Scorpio astrology archangel Barchiel. And remember that Gabriel is the archangel of the four corners who resides over the watchtowers of the west and the cold wet winds of the west, if you're using earth coordinates in the kind of magical circle. Okay? This is an angelic horoscope transmission from your Scorpio zodiac angel Barchiel, who resides over the Scorpion's fixed water, nature, and these are his messages for you in the areas of love, money, and health. First, we're going to get to Barchiel's love, rapture, and romance transmission, because it is all about love. It's all about love. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you understand that the heart is at what everybody tugs at when they really want to try to influence you or even to control you. They're going to tug at your heart. So what you want to do is use your mind and keep your mind above the heart. And because if you lead with your mind, there's an old saying that if you lead with your mind, you'll be a king, and if you lead with your heart, you'll be a fool. Now, most of us act a fool most of the time because love is very strong and the heart is very strong. But truly, if you want to really follow the precepts of Scripture, it talks about how to trust not only logically, but also not in an illogic way to make you a fool, but in a way that makes sense and actually is logical. You know, the good books say that you must be as little children to enter into the kingdom of heaven. So, but that's saying you want to understand in that scripture that it doesn't really make sense that all of this, that all of creation and all of the things we learn in life are for nothing. It doesn't make any sense. So it makes logical sense, even if we cannot see the entirety of creation, even if we can't see the entirety of reality, it makes sense that there is a higher purpose, and if we do what we know to be right just out of, because you know when you're doing something wrong and you know when you're doing something right, you can tell. I mean, if you really think about it, even an animal, even your pets know when they're doing something wrong. They know they're doing something wrong. So, you know, so do we. So, you know, and it's logical to know that although we don't know all the mysteries of God, there's a purpose. And all things work together for good for those who love God and serve His purpose. The scriptures, they say that, and if you follow it, you're going to end up in a much better situation than if you don't. All right, now, regarding Barchiel's love, rapture, and romance transmission with help of the water guardian archangel Gabriel, remember that Gabriel, that west watchtower is about love, the love of the magician, where the archangel Michael is about your will, the archangel Gabriel is about your love, your emotion, the archangel Uriel is about physical manifestation, and the archangel Raphael is about your mind and the logic thereof. Now, regarding the light frequencies that come forth from these various angels for this month and for you Scorpio, there's a blue-green hue or turquoise angelic light frequencies of Barchiel. and combined with enriching recuperative tonics gleaming forth towards posh and genuinely sympathetic inner and outer therapeutic vim and vigor, bestowing elixirs that emit gemstone shards of creative light. Now these are going to be enthralling to the taste buds and to the eye, because you can make gemstone elixirs for yourself. Some people make them commercially, but you can make them for yourself. You can use herbs and spices, and you can use teas, and also, of course, purified water, and you can soak them, the gemstones, in the sun and in the moonlight to get varying amounts of the frequencies that you're trying to accomplish. And you can make these kinds of things for yourself, and they're going to be again, very, very wonderful to utilize for the frequencies that you're going to be able to, if you've gotten yourself to a state where you're sensitive to those higher angelic frequencies because you become vegan, then you're going to be able to sense them. If you're into more a coarse reality, you're not going to be able to sense it. Now, some people that are very sensitive aren't always eating the perfect foods because they're already too sensitive, and they need to eat heavier things to ground them, lest they cannot function in modern society. So you can't judge people too much by what they consume, because sometimes just to stay in physical reality, they have to eat heavier, or whatever, or utilize heavier colors. Because if they don't, they might not be able to maintain a physical form. So just understand that, and don't be judgmental of others. People are doing what they need to do to do the best they can. So a little more understanding is always helpful. Okay, now, regarding the recuperative tonics, again, you're going to want to use those kind of gems that are going to be very enthralling to gaze upon for you, that you're going to love, and going to be sublime for you. And that's from the gemstone. Again, you're going to use the more turquoise angelic light frequencies for the part that is really from the rainbow wand for Scorpio. That's the astrological color. But for citrine is going to be the light frequency of Barchiel, and the citrine. This is a color of citrine. It's a book that we have, and you can use it with. You can use your rosaries with that as well. And this book is really helpful, especially if you want to find out what's going on with the planetary aspects of the different systems of your body, the different organs of your body. This is how this book explains how the system's formed and how the universal creature is formed from the planetary energies. It's called Egyptian Myths and Mysteries by Rudolf Steiner, and it's by Anthroposophic Press. And that's a really good book. It was a gift given to me by members of the order I was in, a Rosicrucian style, Golden Dawn style order, many moons ago, and people I love dearly gave that to me as a birthday gift. So I really love that book. It's a very important book. So that's part of studying going all the way back to the Egyptian origins of some of these. All of this, a lot of this really comes from Egypt and from that part of the world, and from India, and where the gemstones and some of these traditions come from. Now, regarding the inspiration of using the citrine with the turquoise, it's going to really inspire you, and it's going to bring you very adoring personal wishes through very delightful sustenance, and it's going to be granted to you from November's very martial and Plutonian angelic realms. And the expedition of this birthstone is very plenteous, as well as very heartening and brilliant attributes. Magical currents of an enchanting permutation of Zodiac angels Barchiel's natural 8th house qualities, in addition to your own Scorpio energies, bestows to you a thrilling nature, and that will beam with expectancy towards experiencing fresh desires, and that's going to bring a realization as well as powers of creation and destruction when authentic oracles are wisely and truthfully interpreted within very intuitive portions of mental acuity leading to ancient knowledge. Again, you're going to want to get to the core of the knowledge of the ancients, the ancient Lemurians, the ancient Atlanteans. Personally, I mentioned it before, I'll mention it again, I had a memories of a lifetime when I was a pre-scientist in Atlantis. Now, one might ask, why bother to practice these magical arts these ancient arts. And our obvious answer is that God helps those who help themselves. That's the old adage, but it's very true. And now follow this, beloved. In the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verse 8, in the Webster Bible translation, we read, "And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as ye have dealt with the dead and with me." 2 great books about Egyptian magic. One that we've already mentioned, but the other one is another book about Egyptian magic. This is called Egyptian Magic, Enter the Body of Light and Travel the Magical Universe by Gerald and Betty Schuller. Again, we've invested in a lot of books by Gerald and Betty Schuller. They're really good books. This is the Schullers there. And this book is really great because it has a lot of wonderful pictures of the Egyptian gods and goddesses. So it's worth a lot just for some of the wonderful artwork that it has. So you want to get that book. Again, Egyptian Magic. It's got a lot of rituals in it that are sublime. If you like doing magical rituals, you will love the rituals in that book. And you'll find out that a lot of the modern rituals that we utilize nowadays in our modern churches and our modern religions are from the Egyptian religion. You know, from that part of the world. Again, you get the Egyptian religion, then you get it was all about the pineal gland and the pharaoh becoming, you know, the Christos, the white unicorn, the pineal gland, the hormones released from there, the activation, the ambrosia, all of that. Some of these ancient myths from Greece, and just because it's a myth doesn't mean that it's not true. So, again, just a lot of our modern religions are based on traditions, these other rituals and traditions. It's come down to us and be kind of refurbished for modern usage. And you can go back and back and back and find where these things are because even, you know, we say that you know, we have things now that we've never had before. That's really not true. I mean, there are more and more scientists that are saying that we have been through cycles where we had knowledge and then lost knowledge, and that goes with the yugas in the Hindu religion, where we have these great giant epochs, and you know, there's a big cyclical energy, and that a lot of the stories about that there's 6,000 years and 7,000 years, when the 7 days of creation, and the 1,000 years and the 7,000 years. A lot of that's being thought to probably be due to patterns in our solar system, having to do with our sun and our planet, and just the various things that go the cycles that our solar system goes through, and cycles that even larger, like our solar system is said to revolve around the star system of Sirius A and B, that might have A, B, and C. So there's always a bigger picture, and you got to sort of be open to the bigger picture, especially nowadays as we're coming into our new age of Aquarius. Okay, now, and the Schuller book is published by Llewellyn. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, this is published by Llewellyn. Egyptian Magic, again, enter the body of light and travel the magical universe, which is something, there's a lot of that kind of thing done in the science of Kabbalah, where you travel up into these realms and are able to try to bring your experiences back and explain it to other people. That's what artists do. They say the artist is greater than the mystic, because the artist can take the experiences and bring them to you in a way that you can experience in this realm. That's why they say the artist is greater than the mystic. Now, regarding some of the books that we refer to, you know, we refer to some as the Word of God, or some books being holy books, and sometimes other various cultural pantheons and historical records are called myths. And again, myth doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true. So, you know, we would say that why is a god like Zeus or Jupiter considered fictional characters, while Elohim are called true gods? Why is Moses' parting of the Red Sea deemed a factual miracle, while Hercules and his amazing feats of strength are measured as folklore? So put eternal truths into your mind, and thus fill your life with magic. Beckons Anubis, helper of Isis, to find the pieces of her husband's brother's body for rememberment after Set had his way with Osiris due to a phenomenal Setian victory in battle between these two gods. So, again, Anubis, helper of Isis and Osiris, when she had to help her husband and remember the parts of his body that had been torn apart by Set when they had a war between Set. And there was a time in Egypt when Set was considered to be good. So, these are very, very, again, ancient gods and goddesses. And the history is very interesting of these religions and gods and goddesses. Now, be aware of your own powers of creation and destruction when embarking on new endeavors during martial and plutonian rituals of birth, sex, death, and rebirth. So, debt and death, birth, sex, and rebirth. Amazing storehouses of treasure from sensible investments is an awesome resource owing to this month's association with our traditional zodiac sign of Scorpio, and that's for your amazement. And during, because Scorpio energy is always very amazing. And it'll make you fascinated in November, and there'll be remarkable ways to benefit your love life and your family relationships and your friendships regarding discriminating illumination as being our origin of humanity's birth into the age of Aquarius, which we now find ourselves in needing to understand and begin to live as we have been instructed, each according to skills and talents granted by Creator God through genetic expression. Now watch this, beloved. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, in the Webster Bible translation, we read, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them." If sophisticated political intrigue is your chosen course of study, you would do well to begin by a thorough reading of the Old Testament book of Esther. For example, to find how rulers deal with their people in book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 11, in the Webster Bible translation, we read, "And the king said to Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as seemeth good to thee." Look for those who want to express themselves creatively, those who brainstorm and have new ideas initiated from a gem which shines eye-catching yet therapeutic abilities for the owner of such a gemstone through enticement of martial and plutonian qualities affected vortex centers of crown chakra, third eye chakra, solar plexus chakra, sacral chakra, and root chakra attributes, thus producing profuse amount of happiness throughout finding occasions as well as venues in which to heal during higher frequency psychic sessions where Rosicrucian third order beings give forth information generated from upper Kabbalistic worlds, bestowing attainment of great halls of ancient knowledge throughout ultradimensional and interdimensional communication, made ready for practical utilization when sympathetic energies are produced. Mars corresponds with choleric humor associated with southern hot, dry winds and is considered malevolent in nature, according to Hippocrates, and that's from 460 to 377 BC, and Andrew Board's 1542 work, respectively, regarding this aspect. Now, Scorpio's second ruler, Pluto, associates with one's mental body, according to Dr. Bach, who is famous for his flower essence remedies. Chinese medicine categorizes Pluto as having mainly a water element association given to Plutonian attributes of transformation or death. In Greek or Roman systems of medicine, water, the element of water, associates with the phlegmatic humor. The Greek and Roman phlegmatic humor, indeed. Author Jonathan Clugston Wilmot, in his book Western Astrology and Chinese Medicine, speaks of Pluto being a planet which is furthest from the sun, relating to water phase, which is now paraphrased in this quoting of his brilliant work. Pluto is extremist in his ideologies. Perhaps it was fear of the awful aspects of Pluto that caused International Astronomical Union members to demote Pluto to a dwarf planet in August of 2006. With that said, Dwarfs are fierce and rich, quote, kings under the mountain, according to, unquote, according to an epic 1937 book, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. So be mindful of thinking dwarfhood is actually meant to reduce in importance, for Thorin Oakenshield II, son of Thráin, son of Thor, took back the Lonely Mountain from Smaug, though he was killed in action later on in the Battle of Five Armies. Regarding human anatomical planetary correspondences, we find that Mars associates with the head, as well as the structures which protrude from it, such as the ears and the nose. Pluto associates with inner or secretive portions of human anatomy. The zodiac sign correspondences assign Scorpio as ruler over sexual organs or genitals. Energetic, planetary, and astrological frequencies associate Scorpio or natural 8th house chakras as follows. Crown chakra, pineal gland, third eye chakra, pituitary gland. Our order assigns the third eye or pineal gland to the 7th or crown chakra rather than 6th chakra, even though that vortex center traditionally bears the name of the third eye, which we assign 6th chakra to pituitary gland location and function. And this is due to anatomical as well as practical endocrine consideration, while assignments for other ductless glands, such as upper solar plexus chakra, adrenal gland, and lower solar plexus chakra, pancreas gland, sacral chakra, ovary gland, root chakra, testes, are glandular attributes and functional awareness which are incorporated by Mother Nature into Scorpio qualities. Now, very intense, secretive, and visceral chakra engagement of creative destruction or destructive creation makes sense through qualities of ego's development and empowerment of one's soul, which activates the Sephiroth of mercurial potency within Hod, Tifereth, and invisible Sephira of Da'at, thus explaining how to obtain and identify one's lunar power of Yesod, lunar Yesod, for the accomplishment of activating, Yesod is here. This is Netzach, this is Venusian Netzach. This is Yesod here. Venusian Netzach, beauty and desire Netzach, calling upon one's passion, found in martial Gebura, which will then offer sources of Sephirotic magical currents of charm for love magic, which is effective when influenced through Venusian qualities of desire and emotive expressions of love in heartfelt ways. Remember, the masculine side of the tree through the body of the Aphrodite or Venus, and that's expressions of love and the heart, as well as both sensuality and sexuality for rich generation of genetic superiority expressed in suprahuman progeny found in goddesses or gods of genetic engineering cults and biotechnology cults, as well as 8th house attributes of birth, sex, death, rebirth, and death, being those who deal with the absolute realities of life, although in ingenious ways, to catapult humankind up the ladder of evolution, and that's Jacob's ladder, where the angels go up and down the genetic ladder, such as technologies corresponding to the Sephira of Gebura, named classically as Greek god Aries, Roman god Mars, Egyptian god Montu, Godriel, Archangel of War. Godriel is Archangel of War, probably where we get the word God from, because I'm a Gad, God, because many times in the Hebrew transliteration, the vowel can be changed, and just the continents are more important. You know, it can be a theory. Or because it's the beginning, Aries, the beginning of spring, that kind of thing. Or passion for romance. Now, planetary Archangel of Mars, Samael, they all invoke or invoke into your circle powerful magical currents when these are included in performance of ritual ceremonial magic. Planetary angel Kamael is associated with Gebura, meaning strength or courage, and that's located upon the feminine pillar of our Kabbalistic tree, with qualities of war and severity expressed through war gods such as Aries or Mars. That's here. Okay, and you need the red for passion. So you need that Geburic red because it's red. You need that Geburic energy to bring your passion. Your blood is red. Your blood is your life. There's a reason for that. See, so sometimes you have to have, some of that energy to get you to have strength. Again, if you're a very sensitive person, you may need the darker colors to give you strength. So you have to see what makes you feel well. Not what makes you feel good, not what makes you feel bad. We like to say do what makes you feel well. Okay, now regarding the sort of passionate part of the tree, again, on the feminine pillar of the tree, the war gods are traditionally, again, it's more like Aries, Mars, Mantu. Now, traditionally, the planetary angel Michael, or Michael, this is a planetary archangel Michael associated with soul. He's associated with the sun in any of its transits, and at this time in November, always going to be through an 8th house frequency. Planetary angel Azrael is associated with outer Kuiper belt planet Pluto. Hades is this planet's Greek name. Pluto is his Roman name. Anubis, his Egyptian moniker, found in 11th invisible Sephira of the Ath and the throat chakra, doorway to other dimensions. That's the thyroid gland and that thymosin. This is where some people, when they're bringing their energy up, when I used to take Kali Masada, sometimes people's energy often gets stuck here. Even in Qigong, it gets stuck in the throat chakra because it's sort of a bottleneck, yeah? It gets stuck in the throat chakra often. It's not the only place it can get stuck, but it often gets stuck here when you're pulling the energy up. So you don't want to push too far when you're trying to get that energy up. You want to take it easy and do it slowly and try to get the energy in a way that will not overwhelm the brain structures and overwhelm the hormones and the chakras and the vortex centers. Now, adepts who adhere to the law of Thelema are going to put Pluto in the Sephira of Keter, where a monadic kind of senses of or being reasoning that self and not self of that monad of self, not self, is going to vanish. You're not going to be able to tell as much in Keter between self and not self. That's a big difference between Keter and some of the lower Sephira. But even when you get a god name or an angel name in Keter, you're still putting a name to it. Whenever time you put a name to Hashem, you've already brought it down a notch, because in not being able to give word to not able to express the name, but not in the silence either. Between that sound and silence and that potential, that's where that morphogenic field, that all potential, that's where the true Hashem energy, is found. You can't, and the minute you start to describe it, you don't have it. It's different already. It becomes a lower frequency the minute you start to describe it. Now for Bart Shell's money and wealth transmission, again with help of Gabriel. Gabriel, who is the archangel over all of the water signs, money and wealth. Now, during November, nature is going to begin to demand quite a lot of, more obedience, really, from her progeny. So November is a time when in 8th house, again, that's all the birth and sex and death and debt and rebirth. So you're dealing with Mother Nature, dealing with her progeny, and she's going to want your obedience so that she can form you in a way that is best for you, and which is a proper imprint of your spiritual imprint from God, Father, spiritual Father. They say, Father, Sky, Mother, Earth. Now, some religions and some traditions see the Earth as the Father and the sky as the Mother. So it just depends on whatever religion you're in, But it's everything has a bit of a yin and yang to it, where there's a little bit of the feminine and the masculine, a little bit of the masculine and the feminine. Everything has to be like that, or it could not exist. Again, now those more pristine or completely light energies and completely dark energies are more able to exist in the nether worlds and in the higher realms, in the very lower or very higher realms, where we cannot really go and still survive. But in this physical body, we survive in the nexus between the two. And the natural laws are going to become important during November. It's going to be evident. Now, one has to keep in mind that scientists are only able to observe those dimensions in which they have the apparatus to detect. So if we observe, we say, well, we know all about nature because we have all these great instruments and we can see with our eyes and see with our telescopes, but there's things out there that you don't have a machine to detect. And the more machines you make to detect it, the more you'll see it. But then once we get enough machines to detect everything and control everything, by that time we'll figure out that it was all, the ancients had it all anyway. Because it's all was put in our brain structures anyway. And perhaps as we keep making machines, we might lose it ourselves. So you got to think about that too. So it might not always be good to create something outside yourself. You might want to more keep it as a natural organ inside yourself. Just a thought. Now, realms which are hidden to man are going to be unveiled. And again, consider the New Testament book entitled Revelation of St. John the Divine. In Revelation, this is the English translation of the word that means apocalypse, through which we peer into worlds yet to come. When the sun associated with Archangel St. Michael, remember St. Michael, he's going to unite forces with the other archangels like Samael and that's the martial archangel Seraphim Samael, and the Geburic angel Camael, alongside with planetary angel Azrael's Plutonian and angelic realm, as well as Scorpio's Zodiac angel Barchiel's dwelling, creating new worlds, evoking a longing to obtain and maintain power. Magic is useful to bless or protect homes in November. And you can also bless your yards and structures or landscapes using appropriate planetary, astrological, sympathetic magic. Landscaping and addition of outdoor lighting is a really part of home improvement that will help increase the property value. Scorpio and 8th house attributes associated with Barchiel brings vitality to any home or property, and that will increase your property value, and thus it will make the community's economic position better, from which one may want to achieve earnings, really, when Sol transits through November frequencies, where planetary seraphim of Mars named Samael, planetary archangel Pluto named Azrael, and Zodiac angel Scorpio Barchiel oversee activity, and that will bring a yearning for a better state of affairs and attainment of substantial financial goals towards gratifying values through application of holy knowledge, comprehending mechanisms of God's great universe. Now, some people say that the things that are in the Bible, some people say they have a higher allegorical meaning, and some say they have a literal meaning, and some say it's more of a, it's actually talking about astrology. In reality, it's written on 7 levels. All sacred books, all holy books, all sacred books, all spiritual books, all these kind of things are written on 7 levels. And these are the 7 levels that are found in the 7 lower worlds of Kabbalah underneath the top 3 supernals. And this is really a time in November for really learning as much as you can and then making your dreams come through. And it's going to be done through a very purposeful and very dedicated and actionable application of Rosicrucian magical currents to everyday life. And that's going to be for your enjoyment. And really you'll get very miraculous results. Ancient brotherhoods appreciate competence, skill, intelligent discourse as well. Owning one's own business, as well as any avocation dealing with birth or death or debt or sex or rebirth, prove valuable during natural 8th house considerations of the natural zodiac house of Scorpio the Scorpion, with enchanting martial and Plutonian strength and mystery, respectively, causing one capability towards evoking preferable product placement from treasures, storehouses of angelic realms, keeping everyone well informed and well entertained and at their very, very, very best, connecting to one's own personal money minahuni. In the Kabbalistic Sephiroth of Jupiterian Chesed and Venusian Netzach. That's during this time, Jupiterian Chesed and Venusian Netzach. This is going to be important Sephiroth for income creation and money magic techniques, being abundant sources of money from where economic vitality sustained through a profusion of realized abundance brought down through Kabbalistic upper realms into the world of Messiah, having the throne of Malkuth, the bride of the king, creating his kingdom in Malkuth, begotten from excellent genetic tinkering of elves and gnomes and fairies, being magical beings inhabiting etheric planes of existence, given its superior prospects, given when well-made magical talismans and amulets are properly crafted and used and made with skilled hands, and are able to speak to friendly and goodly beings brought to earth through understandings which result from magical precision, manifesting real-world financial talents, dealing cooperatively with friendly magical elementals upon which all magicians must rely. So you've got these sort of turquoise color for the Scorpio energies, because that's the color on the rainbow wand of the astrological colors, so Scorpio, and you can utilize that. Also, because it's related to the highest water god, El, and also because you're a water sign, you're fixed water, and also you want to utilize martial. You want to use the red colors for Mars, the Geburic energies. You can use rosaries, rings, various types of raw gemstones, and you can always use the energies to program your Lemurian crystals during these transits of the sun, and you can just pay attention to what house the sun is in when you're doing the charging, and that also pay attention to what house the moon is in, and the 28 mansions of the moon. Wizards and wizardresses often invoke into their being, or invoke into magical circles the energies of the Sapphire of Binah found here, where Saturnine influences, angels, and divine names are assigned in Kabbalah to characteristics such as hermetically sealing great power, which when released then creates marvelous venues for opulent opportunities for bettering one's investments or keeping already gotten monies in excellent working order. Paying attention to Scripture gives good and right command of law, unvarying obligation to one's deity, community, friends, and most importantly, family. It's going to grant great victory in your life in any circumstance, particularly when astrological progressions call for combining red coral, obsidian, or citrine with the citrine attribute of the astrology archangel forces known to Barchiel. Remember, Barchiel for November, Barchiel for Scorpio, which entices customers and clients through inscrutability, through perfumes, spectacle, and reverberation. And that's going to bring affluence, which is very charming to the senses. Influential and magical appeal in the theaters of property law, estate planning, zoning, and inheritance. Tax law will prove to uphold infinite remuneration, and that's going to be able to really keep your finances intact. That's going to be something that's going to be attainable when you're willing to commit your holy book, your holy scriptures, your good book scriptures to memory. Old Testament biblical scriptures are filled with political intrigue, family and community law, as well as tradition. Such knowledge will continue goodness in life. Now let's look at the book of Ruth, beloved, in chapter 4, verse 15 of the Webster Bible translation. And he shall be to thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thy old age, for thy daughter-in-law, who loveth thee, who is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. Chakras balanced during Sol's November transits are also invigorated, bathed in luxuriously cleansing citrine light, and synchronized during this voyage of the sun. Fundamentally, when good quality monetary health encourages delectable environments and helpful angelic beings, that's going to be gotten through November's gemstone, bestowing a great frequency of motivation and a plentiful portion of economic chance through which one may really manifest greater rewards. The continuing for Barchiel's health and fitness transmission, your health practices are going to be improved upon, and the well-being during November can be brought through using negative emotions like disappointment to your benefit, and you can use that to rather motivate yourself in a very healthy direction, and you can go in whatever kind of level you want to go in. If you want to go in a positive direction, you can use the sort of anticlimactic November energies to put you in a positive direction of being able to get yourself caught up with some things before the very exciting things that come in December. Everything has its proper season, and right now is the occasion for sublimating martial aspects of God alongside with Plutonian facets of Creator's nature. Knowledge is stated in I know as a divine tone assigned in this Aquarian age ruled by Saturn and Uranus. And when messianic water-bearing qualities are added to November's cosmological confluence and divine tone of I create assigned towards Scorpio. Creativity is your crown, and knowing and acting upon learned ancient sciences such as alchemy along with magical gemstone array technologies, and that's made with deep understandings in the hands of talented artisans and technicians. While the sun transits through natural 8th house attributes of birth and death and debt and sex and rebirth during November, life will be very plentiful and exciting in that any hint of boredom will be really much appreciated. You'll find that out. Now, regarding the Book of Esther, you want to in your Book of Esther, you want to follow this in chapter 1, verse 6. In the Webster Bible translation, we read, "Where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble." Again, these kind of things have literal meanings, but they also have deeper meanings as well. Strong health is going to be given. A good life becomes doable during astrological convergence arrays of planets, moons, and stars due to a balancing of crown and third eye, solar plexus, sacral root chakras. Crown or seventh chakras analogous to the supernal sephiroth of Keter, Chochmah, and Binah, and that's involving the pineal gland and the pituitary gland to expression of hormones which grant access to netherworld and heavenly dimensions where Christ is seen judging all human activity. So Christ, at the end, C.S. Lewis likes to say in his work, in his books, that what comes at death is not an ending, but a judgment. So, truly, some people want oblivion, and that's what they want, and that's what their genetics have been designed for, and that's what they'll have, because that's what they want. It'll make them happy. Because God created you to make you happy, not to make you miserable. So what you want is what you will get, but you just have to trust that. A great book to look at, it's a required reading in our second order. It's called A Rosicrucian Notebook by Willie Schroeder. It's the secret sciences used by members of the order. And this is, again, required reading in the order which I am the Imperatrix of the Hermetic Order of the Alchemical Flame. This is a book that's required in the second order, and it's a beautiful book. And we love this emblem. It's the rose and the Passionist heart and the cross. So it's not just a rosy cross. It's got the heart of the Passionist on there as well. Now let's look, beloved, at the book, gospel. It's not a gospel. It's a book of St. John the Divine, Revelation. It's called the Apocalypse in Greek. It's chapter 20, verses 11 to 13. In the Webster Bible translation, we read, "And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of the things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to his works." Third chakra in upper and lower solar plexus ductless glands include the adrenals and the pancreas, which are also strengthened and revitalized during November, especially when Tibetan yoga rites are used. All are energized when soul transits natural 8th house frequencies. Solar plexus chakra activation occurs during this progression involving lower portions of the Sephiroth Tiferet which encompasses the soul of the heart and ego of the solar plexus chakras. Thus, during November, ego becomes more stimulated than soul. So more ego, less soul during November. And this is going to be due to social encouragement, self-concern, and self-reliance. So peer pressure is going to push you towards self-reliance, self-concern, doing for yourself. Sacral chakra involves activation of female reproduction and sexual organs, while root chakra frequencies are concerned with male reproductive and sexual organs. Genetic awareness imprinted upon one's true will leads to excellent adherence to biological push towards well-organized or proper cellular task functioning towards vibrant health. A fantastic soothing, harmonizing, and healing focus occur during November when one electrifies one personal morphogenic field with an objective towards vim and vigor, which brought into reality through knowledge of God's great universal laws. Now, turn, beloved, to Galatians chapter 3, verses 24. In the Webster Bible translation, we read, "Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ, that we might be justified by faith." New creativity and innovation proves a momentous attribute during November. In the I Ching method of chakra healing, this portion of the year is significant for healing of the organs and structures of the head, the upper and lower abdomen, and the pelvis, as well as genitals and ductless glands assigned to chakras already mentioned. And that's while strengthening and invigorating and energizing natural 8th house qualities, being that November's zodiac sign of Scorpio's ruling planets of Mars and Pluto, strengthening 10 Kabbalistic Sephirotic dimensions, plus bringing very new awareness of martial 5th Sephirah of Gebura and Plutonian invisible Sephirah of Da'ath, or Keter, in Thelemic studies again. Keter, crown chakra, regarding function, connecting dimensions of strength and courage, battle, mystery, peak performance, and discipline, with subsequent Plutonian exploitation of sexual allure through use of pheromones, incorporating essences which suggest strength or thickness, like musk or viscosity, and that will be brought through many different types of preparations or tinctures, too strong for most, congruent with outlandish portions of one's ego when one overdoes. Scorpio preparations include dragon's blood, tobacco, myrrh, vanilla, peppermint, nutmeg, and cloves, basil or ginger. That's going to incorporate the entire range of energetic frequencies of red coral for Mars, obsidian or meteorite for Pluto, citrine for Scorpio, and citrine also for Scorpio, bringing innovation and vitality into life during November, causing you to become even more capable to achieve your goal of having power and ability to become more resourceful. Folks are going to be persuaded by your puzzling yet very strong talents during this astrological transit, bringing well-intentioned excitement and new opportunities, deluxe landscapes, as well as magical treasures from deep within your soul, brought to fruition through right understanding and right use of ego. Meditate on the book of Ruth, beloved. That's chapter 2, verses 12 in the Webster Bible translation. We read, "The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou hast come to trust." Astrocartographic arrangements, currently as well as at birth, must be revealed if a holistic style of unveiling one's inner nature is truly desired. A disclaimer is in order here. High magic should be used with all mindfulness, since powerful forces of manifestation are unleashed. This is intended exclusively for entertainment purposes. Remember to chant your divine tone of Creator. Try out the higher aspect of simply meditating on the quality of creating, and be wise, be well, be all you are meant to be, Scorpio. Information found in this document is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I have committed to memory from the oral tradition, but these books are invaluable. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again.